collection. I have some more unusual titles today, but I think you'll enjoy them. Our first manga is a very cute and unique collection of interesting little short stories, as well as short bits of writing. An invitation from a crab, Manga. This is probably my most favorite manga I read in 2020. It is just so whimsical, yet slice of life and comforting. It reminds me a lot of Nichijou, and it also has a very unique art style. Actually, let's move the camera so we can see a little better. The art has very detailed backgrounds, but these simplistic characters that often make reappearances, but not necessarily playing the same role. There's also a very clear sort of traditional style of artwork in terms of the coloring. It feels very painterly. A lot of the stories are almost a little nonsensical. Like this one is about the main character wondering how pineapples are grown. And they go on this silly journey to find out how they're made. Love the detailed backgrounds. Or one little vignette is where the characters get a giant salamander. And they're like, wait a second. How are we supposed to take care of this tropical animal? And they approach it with a level of seriousness despite the very silly situation. It's such an incredibly charming manga. This one's cute. They get a little model building kit, which they think is in the shape of a pickled radish, but it's actually a pickled radish maker. And the sort of punchline is, it makes the best pickled radish ever, and they live happily ever after. A lot of the short writing and the stories are really kind of methodical and introspective in a way I enjoy too. And very dreamy, as well as being funny. Like this one is one about where they're like, why don't we make mystery hot pot where we put all the ingredients in the dark so we don't know what we're making. And these stories are punctuated by these short writings, which are, I know, very beautiful and poetic, sort of simple ponderings about things, but have a lot of emotion. must read if you like more unique manga, or would like to read something that's kind of sweet and sentimental, but also just charming. If you are ever fortunate enough to see a crab strolling through your neighborhood, please follow its lead by slowing down to a crab's pace and looking around and about this world. You too may discover life's many mysteries that are hidden in plain sight. I believe this is the first translated work of this mangaka, and I hope to see a lot more. I found that there are a lot more smaller publishing companies these days, publishing more unique and interesting works rather than larger serializations. It's been awesome discovering newer artists and smaller works. The next short series I have is Wandering Island by Kenji Tsuruta. I really enjoyed the artwork of this manga and the setting. Unfortunately, it is unfinished. I don't even know if it's continued its serialization in the magazine it's in Japan, as I can't even seem to find a scanlation online, since I believe this was a less frequent serialization. So unfortunately, I have no idea how the story is going to end, and it's very much reached an interesting point, which is a little unfortunate. I almost wish the publishing house, Dark Horse, might have looked a little further in before deciding to publish something that may never be completed, but nonetheless it's a very beautiful manga. It's about a young woman who runs a shipping kind of delivery service via her small aircraft between small, more isolated islands in Japan. And after her grandpa passes, she finds this map noting a legendary island, and she becomes incredibly determined to reach it. The artwork is very lush and detailed. I love the summery vibe I get from this small island and the planes and the ships. The heroine is also very plucky and determined, which I enjoy. And I like seeing a female main character doing something a little, I guess, I don't know if non-traditional is the right word, but I don't often see female airplane pilots as characters in stories. Obviously, despite there being many famous female pilots like Amelia Earhart, who the character is clearly named after. I will say the story is quite slow. It takes a while to kind of get any unless it's a nice, easy sort of read. The author either really loves planes or did a lot of research. The cover is very nice. I like this sort of fold-out style. Mikura Amelia is a free-spirited young woman who lives alone with her cat and operates an air delivery service. When her beloved grandfather passes away, she discovers he left her an undelivered parcel, addressed to an island that doesn't exist. Or does it? To find the truth, Mikura flies off in search of the wandering island. My apologies, I said she had received a map from her grandpa, but rather it was an address. I love these textured covers as well. They just look very pretty. It's such a shame the story isn't continued, as she finally does reach that special island, and there's such an air of mystery to it, and I so badly wanted to know more about it. Perhaps someday we'll get another volume. I love the panels of her with her kitty in her jacket while she flies. Probably not the best idea, but cute nonetheless. Eisner-nominated series returns. Mikura has found the drifting electric island at last, but it only deepens the mystery as its sun-baked maze of streets and buildings holds a sullen and sometimes hostile population. Did they fall prey to the same obsessive enigma that drew Mikura here? Where are they? And where are they headed? Now for my second favorite new release of 2020, My Broken Mariko by Waka Hirako. This manga is the first ever published work of this mangaka, so it's really delightful to see that someone's picked it up so quickly. This story is a very sad one-shot, but one of the most beautiful and heart-wrenching series I have read in a very, very long time. I would say if you enjoy the works of Inio Asano, his very deep and human stories, I think you would absolutely love this. As much as I love Inio Asano, his stories do tend more towards a male perspective, I think. Especially given his last manga. Can't remember the name of it. About a manga author. And sometimes I think his female characters, while certainly compelling, can almost feel a little lacking. And so I find that this series, since it is written by a woman, kind of takes that female perspective a little bit better. And was just very, very realistic and very beautiful. Tomoyo Shino has stood by her friend Mariko through years of abuse, abandonment, and depression. However horrific her circumstances, their friendship has been the one reassuring constant in Mariko's life, and Tomoyo's too. That is, until Tomoyo is utterly blindsided by news of Mariko's death. In life, Tomoyo felt powerless to help her best friend out of the darkness that ultimately drove her over the edge. Now, Tomoyo is determined to liberate Mariko's ashes for one final journey together, to set her free. Her dear, broken Mariko. So the story is about a woman grieving with the loss and complicated feelings in the wake of her best friend taking her own life. It's a really interesting view of grief and how one processes the traumatic feelings of losing someone so unexpectedly. I've never really seen a manga that deals with the aftermath of such an event, and it was just a very special read. I love Waka Hirako's art. It's very emotive, and I like seeing that she draws women not always looking their cutest or best, but in a very emotive way. This is a hardcover manga too, which is nice. I'm just going to remove the cover so I don't bend it or anything while flipping around. But let me show you the inside. A little extra artwork. The inside is all black, with text on the spine in silver. I really enjoyed the pacing of this story. I love her expressions reading stories about female friendship, but also how relationships can be codependent or sometimes even toxic within situations of love and caring. You don't often see narratives of women, especially interpersonal relationships, shown that way, which I thought was just interesting to read about. There's just so much energy in her line work that I love. If you enjoy human stories and sad stories, but it also is very heartwarming in a way, I think you would really like this book, especially if you like Oyasumi Bunbun, for sure. And not end on a somber note, the last book I have is an omnibus of Chobits, the first volume of the omnibus. I'm sure many of you know Chobits. It's one of the titular clamp titles. As you can see, mine is very well loved. For those of you who don't know Chobits, it's, I believe, maybe not at this time, but one of the only seinen works by Clamp. They're more known for their shoujo manga, josei manga, rather than male genre works. Not that Chobits is for boys, but then I know I've certainly talked about it before, but manga is divided into 4 sort of gendered and aged categories. Shoujo for girls, shonen for boys, both words meaning boy or girl, josei for women, seinen for men. Shoujo, magical girls, shonen, things like Hunter x Hunter, Naruto, seinen, things like Berserk, and josei, trying to think a popular josei title, like Jellyfish Princess. Chobits is about a world where Burscom's personal computers are androids. In this world, basically, they're always beautiful women. Chobits explores the idea of love between humans and robots, our relationship to them, especially in a humanoid form. I love any media about androids or cyborgs, humanoid robots, and how they interact with humans, how we feel about them, how they're integrated into our lives. And Chobits is an especially tender story. The main character finds Chi abandoned in a dumpster, and he takes her home. And it turns out that she may be a very special and powerful Burscom. And the story kind of covers the mystery of who she is, as well as how her and, I'm forgetting his name, the main character boy fall in love. One thing I love about older mangas, they always have these character introductory pages. Hideki, that's his name. I particularly love the art in Chobits. She has so many beautiful humans feel. And I believe this story takes place in the same universe as Angelic Layer, another clamp manga. This is one of the only clamp mangas that has a lot of naughty humor, since it is a seinen. I love the designs of all the robot girls. They're cute animal-like little robot ears. There are a lot of sweet stories about the relationships between these perscoms and their humans. It's nice to see a series about androids that isn't necessarily super heavy sci-fi. Like, I love Ghost in the Shell, but this is an almost more mundane, slice-of-life look, added rather than high action or very cerebral look at androids. I also love these children's books she looks at throughout the series. The characters clearly resembling her long hair that almost looks like two bunny ears. This was surprisingly one of the first clamp mangas I read, which maybe at 11 was slightly too young. But it is one that I enjoy very much. Unfortunately, the way the book is bound ruins some of the beautiful artwork. There's lots of iconic artwork of Chi sitting on top of telephone poles, lamps, her long hair flowing in the wind, as well as her very cute Gothic Lolita-esque and cosplay-esque outfits. I'd say one of Clamp's defining features is their amazing costume design and splash pages between chapters. I don't know if this claim on the top is correct, because I'd say Cardcaptor Sakura might be a little more popular, but Clamp's all-time best-selling manga in America, Hideki Motosua, a poor student struggling to pass his college entrance exams, discovers lying in an alley something he could never afford to buy: a persocom, the personal computers of the future that look like people. Taking it home, he discovers the persocom is cute, affectionate, and seems to have had its memory completely wiped. She is able at first to only say "chi," Dicky names her. But who is this strange new Barsacom in his life? Instead of being his digital assistant, Hideki finds himself having to teach Chi how to get along in the everyday world, even while he and his friends try to solve the mystery of her origins. Is she one of the urban legendary Chobits, Persicoms built to have the riskiest function of all, real emotions and free will? Dark Horse is proud to release the Chobits Book 1 Omnibus, which collects the first half of the Chobits story. All pages have been remastered under Clamp's supervision from their original artwork. Not only are all color story pages included in their original form for the first time in English, but Book 1 also contains 15 bonus color illustrations. Dark Horse always does a pretty good job compiling omnibuses. I know a lot of you out there are probably collecting the nice new Berserk ones they're releasing. Well, I hope you found some new titles to read, or something you're curious about. Sorry if the wind outside has been loud in this video. Instead, I hope it's a nice ambient background noise. But I know many of you really enjoy these manga collection videos, so please let me know if you might read any of these series. If you have any recommendations for me, I always love to talk with you and hear your thoughts. I hope you had a wonderful day or evening, and I'll see you in the next video.